Hello and welcome to another episode of Evening Crypto with your host, The Real Shot 256, bringing you another episode of more TA and the state of the current market. And one piece of news that is definitely worth mentioning tonight is the Fed Chairman Powell goes in front of Congress and validates Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies as a whole. So we'll take a look at that story towards the end. And after the TA session, we want to look at a little bit more coins than we usually do. I've been getting some messages letting me know that you guys would like to see a couple more coins during the TA session. So I will definitely honor that request and look at a few more coins. And take a look at the TA things, where we stand. Bitcoin, dropping about 4% in the last 24 hours, not too bad. But it's had some continuation to the downside, so it's got some folks definitely worried about the price action. Me personally, I'm not worried about it. I talked about this last night on my previous video, so if you want to go back and look at that, I gave some reasons why I am not bearish yet on Bitcoin, and I will continue to give you guys my reasons why I'm still not bearish on Bitcoin. I'll make my case for that, and then you guys can definitely let me know if I'm missing something or if I'm on the wrong side of this. You guys can definitely comment down below and let me know. Also, the talk around altcoins and altcoins popping and people just being very bullish, just having a very, very optimistic view on altcoins right now, despite the action, despite the massive correction that all altcoins have had in the last week or so, while Bitcoin just keeps rallying and rallying. Yeah, we did have a correction, but for the most part, Bitcoin is still on an upward trend, on a bullish mission to accomplish new yearly highs, while again the altcoins are not following. And there's been a lot of mention still about how the altcoin summer is yet to come, like we saw it in 2017. And I've been telling you guys that whole altcoin summer narrative is kind of debatable, right? Because last time on our last bull market, 2017, we saw the altcoins running with Bitcoin, not in the opposite direction of Bitcoin, which would indicate, in my opinion, a altcoin summer, not what we're seeing here currently, and definitely not what we saw. Definitely not what we're seeing right now, but also not what we saw back then in 2017, where altcoins followed the rally. They didn't do anything different. They were just following along with what Bitcoin was doing. And remember, there was an ICO craze. Ethereum was the enabler of all of these shitcoins that were coming out. And I told you guys at one point there were about 100 different projects coming out pretty much every month for a good while, for most part of 2017. And early on in 2018, until we saw the regulators, the SEC, coming in and started to bite down on these ICOs that were coming out, and just a lot of fuckery in the markets, and just overall a lot of questionable behavior within the industry. So again, I make the argument, and you guys can definitely comment down below, and we can have a conversation about this, but altcoins did not have a altcoin summer in last bull market. They just simply followed along. We could make the argument if, say, Bitcoin stagnates for, I don't know, call it at least a quarter, right? You have to have consistency, somewhat, to be able to evaluate something to that measure. You have to see it kind of, set a sort of behavior, set a trend for a while, where, say, Bitcoin is not doing much, it's just kind of consolidating for a good amount of times, call it a quarter, to be on the shorter side of things, and then you see the altcoins starting to run and just have these very bullish behavior patterns on the charts. And if you take a look at it, it's kind of the opposite right now. You see Bitcoin just running away and the altcoins just staying behind. Some of them are participating, some of them are joining in the fun, but But for the most part, I mean, you could say that 99% of the market is not following along with Bitcoin, not to the extent that Bitcoin is. So again, it's there is no altcoin summer coming back. In my opinion, there was never one to begin with. So you guys can let me know if I'm completely wrong and off topic here. Um, but yeah, unpopular opinion perhaps, but that's kind of where I stand. If you guys are altcoin maximalists, you'll definitely disagree with me, but you know, to each his own, and we all have different opinions, and it's all right to do that. Again, you can let me know in the comments. Current market cap, we're 306 billion. We've made a massive retracement in that regard. We were trading above 350 billion not that long ago, and our 24-hour volume still trading in the higher ranges at $87 billion in the last 24 hours, and Bitcoin dominance staying stiff at 65.1%. That trend to me is going to continue. Again, the being that the ICO craze is over and done, and we're not going to have the same behavior that we had back in 2017. You can count on this stat to stay around the 65% range, and probably perhaps grow some more into the 70s, percentile. That is where I'm looking at. That is where I'm pointing the cursor at. And I definitely do think that this behavior is going to continue, and Bitcoin is just going to keep dominating the charts and bleeding the alts, just pounding on them like it has. So if you're on the side of altcoins, holding on to your altcoins, just think of it this way. If you were working for a financial asset firm where you are paid to manage people's money, would you manage your money? Would you manage somebody else's money this way? Would you not take the opportunity to actually make some gains? But think of it that way. How are you managing that portfolio? You have just been given the responsibility to manage somebody's money, and your job is to make somebody money. Does that kind of change the mentality of how you manage your own portfolio? Because if you were, I understand the risk. I, personally was a personal financial specialist for one of the largest insurance companies here in the United States. My job was to make sure that I made good recommendations, and if an asset or a fund or what have you was not performing correctly or was not performing to standard, then we would make strategy changes. We would always making sure that it's in the best interest of the customer. And in this case, say you were given the task to grow somebody's portfolio, would you manage it any differently? Would you be open to a different, say, strategy that would bring you the opposite of what you've been seeing? Because all along, and we're going to take a look at some coins here to demonstrate my point. And thank you guys for suggesting some coins to look at. Would you stick with the current strategy, or would you switch? And if you would switch, just kind of looking at it through the lens of a personal financial specialist. Would you stick to that plan, or would you actually make a change? That's my question to you tonight. If you think your portfolio has not been performing, and you'd have to answer to both a customer and your manager, what would you do differently, and why haven't you done that with your own portfolio? Right. So let's get into it. Let's look at the charts and see why I still think Bitcoin is still not out of the woods, but I'm not definitely bearish yet on Bitcoin. Taking a look at the daily chart here, we do see it bounced. It actually rejected from this 21, the EMA here with the RSI, rejected off of it. So even though we're seeing this happen here, this rejection, which is totally valid, we are seeing the price being supported by the 21. And if we go back and look at it, the 21 has just been, the main area of support throughout this run on the daily. So, this just, tells us that we're not out of the woods. Going back to late last year, third quarter last year, we were trading below it throughout this whole throughout 2018 basically, and then coming back in here. Let's see if we can illustrate a little better. Okay, here we go. So we see it here, and we overtook it here, touching upon it, and then just bouncing off of it violently here back in April. And ever since April, we've been on top of it. We just remained on top of it, and we've used the 21's EMA as an area of support. If you have been trading along with it, you have seen and done pretty good on your own portfolio with Bitcoin, just having bounces and continuous bounces off of it, coming back down to retest it here several times along the way. Back down here, we lost it for a moment, but then regained it, and just, again, going on another massive tear. You could say that this was a correction, normal correction. Let's put a measure on this guy here. We'll do body to body. About 12.5%, not too bad. And what do we see here? Body to body, 18%, not too bad. What do we see here? Current price, about a 10% retracement, not too bad. And again, as we've been saying, the 21 has just been the cradle for price action in Bitcoin. Being that, yeah, we can wick below it all you want, but until we actually start closing some significant candles underneath or below the 21, I start to look at what the next area is. And so, being the 100 simple coming in right below the 21 as acting as support, I'm still, again, not bearish on that. We're still on top of this ribbon of support areas, support trend lines here. So again, there's going to have to be a more significant retracement for me to start getting bearish on this. Until we hit maybe the 55, if we're just looking at EMAs right now, if we're looking at the 55, that's when I start. That's when we start looking at, okay, what is the next possible scenario? We have to reassess from this point. If we do come down here and retest the 55, I do expect a bounce off of this area, maybe in between the area here, and then try to regain the 21, and then from there, bounce to higher highs, yearly highs, and a continuation after that. But taking a look at the more bearish case here, if we do get to the 55, do expect the bounce, and then we'll reassess from there, see what kind of a bounce do we get. If it's more of a dead cat bounce, then we can come down here to the 89, the Aqua 89 here, and retest that. If we just come back and just pierce through that, then look at that, the $8,500 area, going back to the CME futures, we would be filling the gap there, and not to say that this is going to happen right away, but certainly in the cards. I believe this is our chart. Yep, this gap right here in the CME futures. We haven't filled that gap yet, and we could certainly, this gap right here, and we can certainly go back to this area here and refill the gap and then move on from there. But again, there's if that ends up happening, that's not going to happen anytime soon, I don't think. We should see a gradual retracement, a gradual drop into that area if we do go back and refill that. So again, as long as we're above the 21, I do expect a bounce here, and depending on what happens there, we have to reassess again. See what kind of bounce. Bring in my drawings here. Again, still very bullish posture. We're trading above the middle of this pitchfork channel here. Um, we are currently not only the 21, but the middle of this channel here, the red line coming in as support as well. And then also the bottom of this rising channel area also coming in as support. So we have pretty good, strong confluence here coming in with a lot of support. And based on the recent action, you're seeing that Bitcoin, although looking pretty sluggish and exhausted from all of this previous price action, still remaining above the 21. And so as long as we're above the 21 and above this area overall, I think we're going to have a nice bounce and come back and retest the top of this channel here, up here towards previous highs. Okay, that is the natural trend. That is what we seem to be doing. We had not closed a candle down on the lower area of this rising channel. We did so now, but look at that. We're still setting higher lows and higher highs. So if this just seems like a natural progression here for the rising channel. So I do think, again, we're going to go back and retest the top of this channel here naturally. So again, not feeling bullish at all, or I'm sorry, not feeling bearish at all yet. We did have that rejection on the RSI. Let's see, this could turn around at any moment. And if we do break above this 21 exponential, then I do believe that we are going to definitely retest this area. And look at that, it should set a higher high if we do come back and retest this area here, and retest or come really close to retesting the previous high, all-time high, that is. Okay, so let's look at the lower time frames here. Let's go to the 4-hour. 4-hour looking very much in the bearish control zone, which is okay. We can expect this. We can expect this to turn around at any given point with a little bit of buying volume, and we do see here again a confluence with the middle of this channel, the bottom of the rising channel, the pitchfork coming in. We're currently trading below these major moving averages and simple moving averages, but it's okay. We do have definitely a confluence of support in this area. Looking on the 4-hour, if we do break that, we have the 89 coming in as support. I'm sorry, that is our 200 coming in as support EMA, and then the 377. If we do break that area again, that is coming in right around 95, 9400. If we do break the area, the 377 on the 4-hour, then I do think we're going to go back and again refill the gap. But again, these moves take time, so be patient. The name of the game is patience when it comes to trading. You have to let these things play out, and they can take a pretty significant amount of time. So patience rewards traders. Just remember that. Again, let's get a little more granular here. Let's look at the 3-hour. 3-hour is still looking in the bearish zone. Does look like it wants to have a cross to the upside. We'll see about that in the next few hours. If it does get into the neutral zone here, more of the neutral zone here, I want to see it come back and retest the 21 EMA here on the RSI. And if it does bounce, or if it does break above it, then we could definitely see that. Or say that we're going to have that bounce that we're looking for. But again, this might take a couple days. This might take a few more days. It might trade in the more neutral to bearish zone in the RSI, and then eventually we are going to see a pop to the higher area of the RSI, which again should coincide with price action to the upside. Taking a look at the 2-hour here, the shorter time frame still very bearish. So we could see Bitcoin just kind of trade along in this lower part of the channel here for the next few hours, maybe into the next day, maybe into the next couple of days. But that's where the lower time frames are heading. Again, along this line of support, setting higher lows and onward, hopefully. Look at the 1-hour. Yeah, 1-hour is retesting that. Now, there's also something to be said about anytime you have multiple retests of a certain area, because if you keep having retests, whether it's on support or resistance, an area does tend to break down the more you test it, whether it's again upside or downside. If we do see this area being continuously tested, it could break on us, and then we could start seeing a retracement. Hopefully, on the 1 hour, we'll see, we see a bounce. Although typically, when we see this sort of behavior here, there is confluence here. And I'll go back and give you guys an example of some bearish diversion that we caught on the lower time frames. And then it ultimately led to this fall here, this correction. But we do see it here, back here, setting a Bitcoin setting a higher high on these two peaks, but actually showing us a lower high on the RSI. Disclosing some bearish diversions and then having it play out. But anyway, we broke through it, retested, bounced off of it, and we're retesting it twice again. And usually when we see that again, we see a breakdown of the 21 into the more bearish zone. We've seen it many, many times. Every time it does that, we have multiple retests of the 21, and then we drop, right? 1, 2, and drop. 1, 2. Actually, we had 3 tests of the 21, and then a drop. So again, we could have that happen, and but again, as long as we're not breaking this area down here along the 21 on the daily, I am not bearish. So maybe keep note of that. And until we break this area too down here around 10,000, again, we would be exiting the pitchfork. And if we do that, then again, it's time to reassess, right? The 377 coming in on a 3 hour, right along with the bottom of this pitchfork channel. On the 3 hour, again, if we come back to around the 10,000 area, that is definitely a significant area for me. So you can maybe make a mental note. 10,000 is our absolute area of support. If we break that, then we're probably going to 8,500. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at some other coins. Let's look at Link. Link having a nice correction here. Now, finally, and I tweeted this out earlier, we finally hit the 275. That was our second entry point for Link before and prior to this correction on Bitcoin. We were taking a look at Link and seeing that it was looking sort of exhausted, sort of tired, and wanted to have a correction to the downside and come back and retest the 2.95 area, which we hit. I had told you guys, that would be a good area for an entry on a position. I actually did enter finally in Link because it hit our first buying target, and then I hit our second buying target at 275, taking a little bit longer there with the second entry point, but finally did hit it, and we're actually right below it now. So I mean, it would, in my opinion, it would be a good catch, but I do want to see it have a bounce up. If Bitcoin should also bounce, I do want to see it come and tag along with Bitcoin. Because as of right now, it's looking like it actually broke through the 200 EMA, and so it looks like it might want to come back and retest the 377 at this point. And if it does, we're looking at 2.225. Definitely want to see a bounce there, but I also want to see it also react with Bitcoin if Bitcoin does have that bounce, because at this point it actually breached the 200 EMA, and it's looking like it's just losing momentum and just starting to look more bearish and starting to paint a similar chart to the rest of the altcoins. Okay, so I'll keep it pretty short on that. The RSI is looking pretty bearish right now, although it could take and have a cross to the upside here, and then we could see a reaction from Link, which again, I'm definitely hoping to have. Since full disclosure, I did enter a trade on them, not financial advice, but that's what I'm doing. I'm just sharing that information with you, and hopefully it's helping you out. Taking a look at Litecoin just sort of doing the same thing as Bitcoin, just consolidating in this bottom area. This is the 3 hour. We are trading below every major and simple moving average, so this chart does definitely look very bearish. Let's have a little bit of art in the charts, if you will. It was trading in this ascending triangle, but then broke to the downside. and is trying to consolidate in this area, as we do see here. But again, since we are below these major moving averages, we need to see a bounce here to get on top of back on top of the 30 simple here, and maybe the 21. And this is on the 3-hour. For me to start, maybe thinking, okay, we're having a healthy bounce here. But we did come back and retest the $95 per Litecoin here. Did have a nice bounce, and also, the man himself, Charlie Lee, coming out and saying that the halving will have a negative impact on price action. And whether you want to attribute it to Bitcoin or not, this is definitely something that I think has has had an effect on the price of Litecoin. Charlie Lee coming out and saying that the halving will actually have an adverse effect. He's also calling for a few miners that will be, in his opinion, will be shutting down because of the halving and just not being profitable anymore, and a lot of people turning off their mining machines in regards to Litecoin. But he does go on to explain that he does see this event as a temporary thing where the the network might slow down once these miners stop their machines because they're no longer profitable, and then the difficulty will adjust to will adjust accordingly to the hashing power within the network, and then the network should start to regain its normal speed, normal transaction speed, normal throughput, and we should kind of hit the reset button, and hopefully you'll see Litecoin have a bounce to the upside again, along with Bitcoin. I no longer hold Litecoin in my portfolio. Again, it's one of those things that you have to look and reassess and cut your losses and move to something else that is generating some gains for you. So I definitely did some cleaning out of some of my positions on altcoins, not Bitcoin, but altcoins, and just since decided to reorganize my portfolio. So again, Litecoin hopefully will have a bounce and start to regain some of these moving averages so that we can start to get a little more bullish on it. Taking a look at the 4-hour, same kind of deal, below every moving average. Although we did have a tick to the upside, and it's coming back up to retest the 21 exponential share on the RSI. If we do bounce above it, if we do break above it, then we could definitely call for a retest of this area here at the bottom of this triangle. And it should be around the 115 to 117 area. And I do expect it to actually be rejected on the first pass and come back and retest this area here. And then, if we retest that enough, again, the resistance will weaken at some point, and then we can break above it. We'll also need the help of Bitcoin as well. So keep that in mind, as always. Ethereum, looking a little better, actually. Ethereum bouncing off the 377. That's the 4 hours. Look at the 3-hour. 3-hour looks a little more bearish. We're definitely being possessed by the bears right now at the bottom of the RSI. Although it looks like we could have a cross on the RSI to the upside and come back and retest the 21. If we do get above that, then we could potentially jump above these major moving averages. This area of resistance coming up here, just textbook. I was calling you guys in the last several videos, telling you guys that there's a major area of resistance right here. We probably will not break that and come back and retest the bottom of this formation here. Pretty much what we're doing right now, trading in and out of the bottom of this formation, bottom of this horizontal channel here. I do want to see it break above this support area here so we can regain a more bullish posture here. So maybe with this cross here on what are we looking at, the 3-hour, with this fresh cross, and we do come back and retest the 21 again, that should put us back into within the formation and back above support. And if we break above it, then again we get a bit more bullish. This will be our next target here around the 319, 320 area for Ethereum. Let's look at the go back to the 4-hour. Yeah, 4-hour looks pretty looks okay. I mean, not the most bullish chart at all. But as far as what we've seen already, definitely Ethereum is looking like the stronger out of the altcoins, and usually does, right? Looking at the 4-hour, let's go to the daily. Daily, that's, well, not too bad actually. Retesting the 55 and is having a positive bounce, positive reaction to the 55. So it's and this one gives us a stronger look, definitely a more confident look, and something that you can rely on a little bit heavier than the lower time frames like the 4, the 3, the 2, or the 1-hour candles. This one is actually looking pretty okay to me. It's in between every major moving average. Again is having a nice healthy bounce off of the 55, although we are trading in the bearish control zone for the RSI. Still just holding on to the 55 here pretty strongly. So once we do have a cross to the upside here on the RSI on the daily chart, definitely can say that we'll come back and retest the 21 here at 289, 290 range, and then come back and retest the 320. We do have to get over this hump here with the 20 and the 30, the 21 and the 30 coming in confluence to act as resistance. If we do again, we'll come back and retest the 320 area. So that's what we have for Ethereum. Let's look at some other requests. I know a lot of people like Cardano, but I have been telling you guys, again, given that mindset of a personal financial planner, and your job and your responsibility is to make somebody money, would you be trading in these assets, right, that are coming back down? I mean, to be fair, let's measure this. To be fair, we'll go body to body. I actually go top of this body formation here. To be fair, I mean, it did have a significant bounce from all-time highs to 264, but out of that 264% increase in price, we're now at 135. So it basically gave 50% of its past gains, right? Not many, or actually like many other altcoins, we've seen them give their gains back from from all-time highs to yearly highs. I'm sorry, all-time lows to yearly highs. We pretty much can say that across the board, most altcoins have given up about 50% of their gains for the year, right? So is this something that you want to be in? Looking very bearish here on the daily. Again, the daily does carry much more weight than the lower time frames. And look at this, we have lost every major moving average, and it does look like it wants to retest this bottom area, this previous low here at 0.06. And then from there, we could potentially see another, this area here, previous support at 0.64 or 0.064. I'm sorry, 0.0527, right? It does look like it wants to come down here. Just looking overall pretty weak. RSI is showing to be in the control of the bears, and did have a new cross to the downside. So again, this definitely looks like it wants to come back and retest the 5.5 cents area, maybe 5.25 area. So definitely looking bearish. Keep that in mind. Would you be trading in something like this for somebody else, or would you change your strategy? Hot, who had been one of the hottest coins, pun intended, in the recent trend in the market, but now has again decided to give back a lot of its gains. I know some people are in Hot, and some of you actually requested to take a look at Hot from body to body. Hot had, what is this? Looks like, oh gosh, messed that one up pretty bad. All right, let's go back and remeasure this. About 132% climb from this prior low here, and now has given most of it back, right? Only 39% after it's all said and done. So looking at the daily again, this chart is looking very bearish to me. It does look like it wants to retest this area here at 0.0012. This is on Binance, right? Yep, it does look like it wants to retest the 0.0012, 1286. So not looking, again, not another one that's not looking pretty, not looking too strong at all. RSI again in the bearish control zone. Looks like it wants to have a tick up, but again, and it goes back to the mentality that a lot of people are having in the alts market is, yeah, these alts are going to pop. Just hold on, keep hodling. They're going to pop. Okay, so say they do pop, they're going to come back to retest this area here. Okay, so when you say pop, just keep in mind that you're just going back to retest the lows, prior lows. That's what you're doing. You're not retesting higher or yearly highs. You're retesting prior lows when you quote unquote pop, right? So hopefully that's making an impact on your whole game plan. VET, VeChain did have a pretty sizable pop, but look at that. Just all of that has been given away and then some. Before the news that VeChain was actually adopted by Walmart here a few weeks ago, it had this massive rally, but ever since that, it just gave everything away. And again, it's testing prior lows, right? Without this news, where would VeChain be right now? Probably retesting this prior high at around 0.004218, right? So these are the things you have to keep in mind. And it does look like it's on the daily. Again, I hold plenty of weight on this. Believe the chart, believe what it's telling you. For those who say that, this isn't driven by TA, that this is whale manipulation. If you, again, I told you guys, if you see that going around your Facebook channel or your whatever the case may be, whatever group within the cryptosphere that you do follow, just take it for what it is. Take it from who it's coming from, right? Take it with a grain of salt, because gosh, you should be listening to the OGs. You should be listening to the people who have been here and have experience and they have seen this sort of thing. I personally just unfortunately see that whole narrative about the whales dumping and the whales owning this market 100%, and it's just nonsense. To make my case, I told you guys we were retesting this prior resistance trend from way back here since June 5th. We had this resistance coming in here, retested it, failed at it, retested it again, and actually broke through it. And then look at what happened after we broke through it, right? And then here we retested it, failed, retested it, and failed. And again, a lot of sophisticated traders come into this market with their sophisticated software, trading software, called bots. And naturally the software is looking at this kind of stuff and going, okay, we're actually seeing a sell-off here. A lot of bots are selling off, and naturally we have this correction, this reaction here. It's again very, very simple to see that it's not any whale, it's not manipulation, it's just the market being the market. So if you hear otherwise, you know better. You now know better. And then lastly, we'll take a look at EOS. EOS, again, doing exactly the same thing that everybody else is doing, giving back all of its gains. Just got caught getting greedy here and now has since given everything back. Let's squeeze it down a little bit, get a better look at it. The RSI, in just like every other altcoin we've seen today or tonight, in the bearish control zone, not ticking or crossing to the upside here on the RSI. So it's got a lot of work to do, EOS, and most of these altcoins have a lot of work to do. Again, if it does quote unquote pop, we're going to come back and retest the lows, right? That's all we're doing. Yeah, although it would look a better overall would look as a better chart if we do come back and regain the 200 EMA here and the 377. Sure, it'll look better, but we still have to get through this area of previous support that will now act as resistance. And again, it's going to have to grind it out and pop or break above it to regain this formation here and start to maybe have a more positive outlook. But right now on the daily, just looking very, very bearish. Below every moving average, there's not much acting as support here. It does look like it could retest this area here. It actually wicked already, wicked down to the 4.32 area. It does look like it wants to retest that again, unless Bitcoin has a sudden move to the upside. And then every altcoin should hopefully follow, but again, not to the extent that Bitcoin is reacting, right? So when Bitcoin has a parabolic move and goes for 10, 12, 15% at a time, the altcoins just have, somewhere between 2, 3, maybe 5, maybe 6% on the higher end, maybe 7%, for some altcoins. But not running along with Bitcoin. But then when you see a retracement, you see the altcoins just having a bigger retracement. So nothing new there. I think I've beaten that horse dead. Having a 21% retracement here since Bitcoin dumped. So for body to body, 21%. Let's look at what Bitcoin has been doing. Body to body. Body to body, 9%, right? So goes to show what I'm telling you guys. Every time that Bitcoin has a correction, also will have an even bigger correction. So is that something you want to be in? All right. And that will be it for the TA side of things. Let's look at the news of the day, and we'll wrap this up. Fed Chair Powell, cryptocurrency and Bitcoin could diminish the need for Federal Reserve currency. Very bullish sentiment around that. Although you see, we had this bit of news here, and what do we see with Bitcoin? We see no reaction, right? So, just one little example, one little fact here that it has nothing to do with what the news says, right? Whether it's good or bad, Bitcoin's just going to do whatever it's doing. So Fed Chairman Powell made the comments that are sparking excitement within the cryptocurrency community during a recent testimony in front of the U.S. Senate, where he covered a broad range of topics regarding the U.S. and the global economy, while also setting the stage for potential interest rate cuts in the coming months. On the topic of cryptocurrencies, which was briefly addressed during the testimony, Powell notably said that a system of cryptocurrency that achieves widespread adoption could diminish or remove the need for a Federal Reserve currency, adding that widespread adoption hasn't been seen quite yet. Alex Kruger, a popular economist who focuses primarily on cryptocurrencies, followed the Senate testimony in a thread of tweets, including elucidating Powell's response to a question regarding the aforementioned topic. Quote here, things like that are possible, but we haven't seen widespread adoption. If we do see it, you could see a return to an era in the United States where we had many different currencies in the so-called national banking area, where we did have also, more of a free market. The States is experiencing a pseudo free market sort of environment, not really, in a lot of cases, not really fostering fair competition within business. Furthermore, while adding onto his previous mentioned thoughts about Bitcoin as having the potential to transition the U.S. into a new era of banking and finance, Powell also explained that he believes BTC's main utility presently is being a store of value. Big one here, store of value, much like gold. Almost no one uses Bitcoin for payments. They use it more as an alternative to gold. It's speculative store of value like gold. Powell noted as a sentiment that Kruger believes is validation of the highest order for BTC. He did send out a storm of tweets, pretty much paraphrasing what Powell is describing here, and definitely coming coming in and supporting and giving props to Mr. Powell for his kind comments regarding Bitcoin cryptocurrency. So perhaps maybe some politicians are waking up and warming up to the fact that Bitcoin could serve as a reserve currency in the future. I don't think we're anywhere near that as of right now. We still have a lot of work to do, a lot of ease of entry to grind through for the future, so that just pretty much everyone can have access to cryptocurrencies and is able to buy in and out of them. I do see the Libra coin as one of the enablers of that. Initially, there will be a lot of friction with Libra coin coming into the market, but the wallet is definitely very interesting, where initially it will support the Libra coin, but eventually will also start to adopt obviously Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, and just enabling a lot of this digital currency open market to play out, extend, and actually gain more and more adoption through these several channels. So definitely, again, I'm very happy to see this piece of news where some politicians, and he's not the only one, but there's several, and just the fact that he came in front of Congress today and said his positive outtake on cryptocurrencies is definitely testimony to the fact that a lot of politicians are warming up to the idea that this might be an alternative. This actually might be something that could work in the future. All right, guys, that is all I have. Hopefully you got something out of this in exchange for your time. Hopefully you learned something, and this has made some sort of an impact on your outlook on your own portfolio. And I do mean well. I do want you guys to succeed. I do want you guys to make money in this market. This market offers very unique opportunity when it comes to trading and just producing wealth for yourself. So hopefully, again, this has helped you in some sort of way. And if it has, definitely let us know by liking the video and maybe sharing it. If you're not subscribed, definitely subscribe to the channel so you can get these updates on the regular. And again, let me know if I missed something. If there is something you want me to cover, I will be more than happy to do it. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at TheRealSean256, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks so much.